Welcome to Worth Reviewing, and this is a new Ford Puma, and in this review I'm going to be showing you how practical it is, what it's like to drive, and if it's worth reviewing. But first of all, let's talk about the design, because about 20 years ago the Puma was a car which used to be known as a sporty coupe car, and as you can see it's now, a crossover SUV. But there's still some originality from the old proper Puma in this new one. Like these headlights have a similar looking shape, and apparently they've been inspired by the Ford GT, although somehow they make the car look a bit like a frog, or even Dory from Finding Nemo. Maybe not so much in the red. Oh, that's better. And at the sides it still shares the same bubble shaped roof from the old school Puma. And the best part of the new Puma is the drive. Just like the old Puma, which was based on the Fiesta Mark V, this new Puma is based on the current Fiesta, although it may not look it because the body's a lot bigger, the wheelbase is longer, and there's a 30mm ride height increase. But with all that going on, it still feels the same as a Fiesta. It still shares those same driving characteristics from it. Just think of this car as a Fiesta that's been jacked up. That is literally the best way of explaining how this car feels to drive. And just like the Fiesta, the Puma feels agile and fun at the corners, and it's nice to be able to say that about a crossover SUV, because a lot of cars in its class feel a little bit more sensible and grown up, a bit boring if you like. But with the Puma, it feels a bit more relaxed and enjoyable.
One of the reasons why the Puma feels so enjoyable to drive is because of the powertrain. They're powered by the 1-litre 3-cylinder EcoBoost engine. You can get a fully petrol engine, which is only available with a 7-speed auto, which makes 123 brake horsepower, and then there's two mild hybrid systems, one of which gets a little bit more torque but still only has 123 brake horsepower, while the other one has more torque and power.
This Puma is fitted with the most powerful mild hybrid engine, so it gets 153 brake horsepower and 177 foot-pounds of torque. That's impressive figures coming from a 1-litre 3-cylinder engine. Now I know 153 brake horsepower may not seem like a lot to most of you, especially in a crossover SUV, but it's certainly enough to put a smile on your face. 0 to 62 takes 9 seconds, and the top speed is 124 miles an hour.
It's not just a nippy engine, it's quite economical as well. It'll get around 45 miles per gallon, and that's while I've been having fun at the corners.
There's also some impressive technology behind it too. Whenever you slow down to a certain speed, as if you're about to stop, the engine will shut down completely, and it will still supply power to the lights, infotainment system and aircon. Listen, I'm just coasting. And just like any other stop-start system, it will kick back into life whenever you dip the clutch. But with this system, it either kicks back into life whenever you select first gear or start to pull away. The stop-start system is so quick and so smooth it's not even noticeable. It takes about 300 milliseconds to kick the car back into life. That's the same time it just took you to blink. How's that for speed? Like most of Ford cars, they all share the same interior layout, so this might seem vaguely similar to a Fiesta inside to you, but there are a few differences in the Puma, like an exposed carbon fibre effect trim, there's leather on the doors, and the most noticeable difference is the 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, which comes standard on the ST-Line edition models and has a range of different theme displays depending on what driving mode you're in. There's normal, eco, and most importantly, sport mode. Oh yes! There's also slippery for, well, slippery roads, and trail for gravelly and unpaved surfaces. All models get an 8-inch infotainment screen which uses the Ford Sync 3 system, and it's easy to use and has decent graphics, and it's also compatible with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. In the back feels a lot roomier and a bit more spacious than the Fiesta, and although the Puma may not have the biggest amount of room in the back compared to its rivals, but there's still an okay amount of room, and it's quite comfy. The Puma gets a powered tailgate as standard and an optional extra hands-free tailgate, and what that means is if my hands are busy carrying things, I can just swipe my foot under the car and the boot will open. And that's the same if I want to close it in that way as well. I can also raise and lower the boot floor, and while it's down If I then fold the seats down, the seats go flush with the boot floor. We can also raise this boot floor and lock it into an upright position with these things that pop out. Now this is where things start getting interesting with the Puma, because what Ford have done is they've created a box under the boot floor and they've called it the Mega Box. In other words, they've just removed the spare wheel. But it does mean you can fit great big massive bags in the back without a problem. And you can use it to do the washing up if you ever go camping. Or you can even do that. I'm just kidding. And when you're done, just take out the drain plug at the bottom and let it all drain out. It's actually quite a handy thing to have. Although I know some of you would prefer to have the spare wheel. But I bet you couldn't do the washing up in the back of a proper Range Rover SUV. Nope. Ford won, Range Rover nil. So is the Puma worth reviewing? Yes. And should you buy one? Definitely. You know what I like about this car the most is, not only is it extremely practical, it's fun to drive, but I also think it's the best looking in its class. And it's nice to be able to say that sort of thing about a car that's also well priced, because the Puma starts at £21,640, and that's for the titanium model. But if I were you, I'd pick the ST-Line X, because although it doesn't come with massage seats, which is an absolute right killer, it does come with a load more tech and body coloured outer wheel arch trims. Plus, it's only a few grand more. Yes, I know, it's called the Ford Puma, the name everyone hates, and if I'm honest with you, I'm not a fan of the name either. But if I had a family and I was out looking to buy a new, practical, and most importantly fun car, I would definitely consider buying one of these. Don't think of the Puma as a proper SUV. It isn't. But if it came with a bigger interior space and a four-wheel drive layout like an SUV, it would start at a higher price, and that would potentially mean a lot less sales. You see, what Ford have done is they've given the Fiesta some steroids, made it even more practical, given it more tech, and then just chucked a different badge in the back. And then they've gone, well, bon voyage. And yet it's just as economical and just as fun as a Fiesta. All I can say is, if you've got one on order, you will not be disappointed.